Wish You Weren't Here by Lewis Shilane. Characters: Carla, age 28, played by
Jen Kerner.
Darren, age 28, played by
Chris Oliver.
Jerry, age 28, played by
Mark Biaggi.
Sam, age 28, played by
Shirley Stewart.
Setting: a hall for a class reunion, time the present. And let us go. Scroll. At Rise, Darren is standing near Carla in a class reunion hall, staring at her. Carla turns and notices him.
Darren, where did you suddenly come from? Well, you haven't changed, have you? Still staring at me with that creepy stare. You know, you're not a high school kid anymore.
Good to see you again, Carla.
You don't really belong here.
I have just as much of a right to be here as anyone else.
You shouldn't have attended Parkville. You really belong to Northeast High.
My mother and I lived at your house in Parkville.
She was our maid.
Never let me forget that.
Well, she was always nice to me. What's she doing now?
Working at a place in Richton.
Your mother did a good job for us. And suddenly one day last year, she told my parents she couldn't work for them anymore. That was it. No explanation. Maybe you can tell me what happened.
In due time. In due time.
Why did you come to this reunion, Darren? Nobody here liked you.
I have my reasons.
Well, just stop staring at me. Reminds me of that time senior year when I was dressing in my room and you were watching me through the door.
That was an accident, wasn't it, Carla? The door being open like that? Oh, that was just an accident, wasn't it, Carla? That door being open like that? And that wasn't the only time it was open either.
You mean there were other times?
Don't act so innocent. You got a kick out of teasing the poor servant's boy. That's the way you and all the others looked at me, wasn't it? The maid's boy who didn't belong at classy Parkville High.
You were always in trouble there. And you were lucky you graduated. What'd you have, like a D average?
I had to work after school for spending money, not like you rich snobs. Everyone was always teasing me because of my clothes and the way I talked, and because I packed my lunch.
Spare me your persecuted victim story, Darren.
You and the rest haven't changed, have you, Carla?
Don't have to change. Leave me alone, Darren. You're giving me a headache.
Sam and Jerry approach.
Wow, Carla and Darren. Is there a problem here?
Always ready to butt in, aren't you, Jerry? Always trying to run things for people. Let's see, aren't you, like, the alumni president?
Yeah, and Sam is the vice president.
You two are married now, aren't you?
Yes.
Keeping it in the family.
Look, Darren, can we help you with something?
I think it's Carla who needs help. Help learning to be a human being. Not to mention everybody else.
Try to keep it down, Darren, okay? I know back in high school, people didn't always treat you right, but we're all grown now.
As for me, I'm out of here. Darren is making me sick. That open bar is starting to look good.
Carla exits.
Snobby bitch.
I'm sorry, Darren, that you feel that way about Carla and the rest of us, but try to get over it.
Don't think I can.
Tell you what, let's talk about something else. The track team did really well this year.
Like I care about that.
All right, well, let's talk about you. I don't think Jerry and I have seen you since high school, except for that one time outside our house. You just waved at us and walked away.
Yes, I remember.
How did you happen to be there?
I can go wherever I like.
That was, what, a few months ago?
Probably.
So you're still living in Parkville?
Me? Living here? That's a laugh.
So where are you living?
I move around a lot.
Okay.
What have you been doing lately, Darren?
Not a whole lot.
Did you ever go to college?
I was considering a county community back after graduation, learning car repair. Then I got this job and...
Well, what sort of job?
Oh, just a job. Nothing important. I don't still have it.
We did see your mother recently.
And where was that?
At the supermarket. We asked about you, but she didn't want to say anything.
That's good.
Have you been in some sort of trouble, Darren? Something we can help you with?
I don't need anyone's help.
You weren't at the 5-year reunion, but tonight?
Things are different now.
In what way?
You'll see.
Darren looks off to the side.
That's Rusty over there, isn't it?
Yes.
I suppose he and Carla not together anymore, are they?
What do you mean?
You know, back in high school, they were going together.
I don't remember that.
Sure. He'd be holding her hand in the hall. And once I saw them in English class.
You know, that must have been what, junior year? That was 11 years ago.
It couldn't have lasted very long because I just don't remember that.
It was serious. I could tell. And even in senior year, sometimes they'd be talking together. I think he even came over to her house once.
Whatever. It was nothing. They certainly aren't together now.
Carla would never spend any time with me. But she couldn't wait to be with Rusty or other guys. Of course, Rusty's father is a stockbroker.
Darren, you know, you're talking about way back in high school.
Yeah. Well, now she's seeing some guy named Kevin.
Someone from our class? I don't remember any Kevin.
No, he's from Parkville. Oh, he's not from Parkville.
Then how would you know about him?
I have my ways.
Look, Darren, you shouldn't concern yourself with something like that.
Maybe Rusty would be interested in knowing.
Rusty?
Yeah. He's probably still got a thing for Carla.
You know, that was back in high school. Maybe.
People never forget things from high school. Like I'd try to sit at Rusty's table in cafeteria, and he'd get up and move. Yeah. I'm going to tell him about Carla and Kevin.
Was he like that in high school?
I don't know. I never had much to do with him.
Do you think he'll be causing trouble here?
He might. You know, just talking with him has given me a headache.
I'm feeling a bit nauseated myself.
Maybe Darren will realize that he doesn't fit in and just leave.
Now that he's gone, it looks like Carla's coming back.
Don't tell her Darren knows about Kevin, okay?
Carla returns.
I see you finally got rid of Darren.
Yes.
What a creep. I still have a headache from being around him. You know, I was talking to Suzanne about him just now, and she said, well, she wasn't sure about the details, but she remembered hearing something about Darren a while back, that there had been some kind of trouble.
Trouble?
Well, she couldn't put her finger on it. She was trying hard to remember. She seemed distressed about it.
Darren has that effect on people. He's given me quite a headache. What else does Suzanne have to say about him?
Well, she never liked him. She was the smart one, remember? She said Darren just never seemed to have it together in class, and he would stare at her. You know what I mean. She finally told him to quit bothering her, that he deserved to fail, that he should have gone to a different school.
Have you seen Darren's mother lately?
No, not since she quit working for my parents last year. She's working in Ridgeton now.
We ran into her recently, but she wouldn't talk about Darren.
Now, I'm tired of hearing about him. I wish he'd just leave.
Well, you're our president. Maybe you should tell him.
Believe me, I have half a mind to do just that.
Well, this may be your chance. He's coming back.
Carla, Darren may bring up something about you and someone you know. I'm just warning you.
What?
Darren returns.
Well, Rusty wasn't very friendly. I tried to tell him about Carla and Kevin, but he just stared at me like I was a bug or something.
Kevin and me? How would you know about Kevin? What have you been doing? Spying on me?
I've seen a lot of things. I know about you. I know all of you. And you haven't changed. You still don't like people like me, do you? People with the wrong parents.
You know, I've heard enough, Darren. You don't fit in with our group. You never did. It's time for you to leave. go back to where you belong. I'm feeling sicker and sicker just being with you.
Suzanne's waving at me, beckoning me. She has a really strange look on her face. I better see what she wants.
Carla exits.
Darren, you should leave before Carla gets back.
I've had enough of all of you anyway, for now.
And stop spying on us, or we'll call the police.
Go ahead. See if I care.
And don't come to any more reunions.
That'll be up to you.
What?
Carla returns and is very agitated.
Suzanne told me something strange, crazy. It can't be true. She told me that she remembered.
Calm down. Try to calm down, Carla. Now, what is it?
She suddenly remembered hearing last year from a friend that Darren had been very upset, had been fired from his job, and then he was found dead. He had shot himself, and then Suzanne checked her phone and found his obituary.
What? Oh, come on. Darren's right here.
It's true, Carla.
What?
Touch me. All of you.
Suzanne, Jerry, and Carla touch Darren.
I don't feel anything. It's as if you're not here.
I don't feel anything either.
You ruined things for me. You ruined my life, all you snobs here in Parkville. And now I'm gonna pay you back.
Darren, this can't be real. Whatever you are, you mustn't try. Oh, my head. I think I'm going to throw up.
Not feeling too well, are you, Carla? Or you, Darren and Sam?
Darren, what the hell is going on?
Don't come to any more Parkville reunions. You or any of the others who tormented me. No more basketball games or school plays. Never again. If you show up, I'll be there. And you don't want that. I'm going to be watching you, all of you, from now on.
Lights go dim.
Darren, what are you doing? The lights.
I'm going to be watching you. All of you!
Curtain.
Ooh.
I'm glad I've got my ghostly glow here.
I know
Thank
who
you
I'm
to
going to
the
call.
actors. and Very well
I know
done.
a guy like Darren that showed up to the reunions. He wore a baby blue leisure suit with the studded wristbands. He was an oddball.
Ooh.
Okay, let's get started with the discussion. What grabs your attention about this play?
I liked it. There were a lot of things to think about. Like when the headache started, I thought, oh, he poisoned him. There was something in the drinks that killed him. But yeah, it was very intriguing. And I think it relates to everybody who suffered through high school. And you always feel sorry for the people that you look back and think, gosh, I should have been, nicer to these people, because a lot of people were traumatized by the high school experience. So I think it's relatable in that context.
Mm-hmm.
I love the twist that they couldn't feel him. That was really wonderful, because after a while I was thinking about, what is it with all these headaches? I'm sick of everybody having headaches. And when they couldn't feel him, that really got me. I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really built.
I was not expecting him to be dead. That was a really good twist. Really good twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over here thinking, did he put something in the ventilation system, or
Mm-hmm.
thinking of things that somebody who's very much alive would do.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was a ghost, which was definitely unexpected where we started, I almost, with where it was going, since this was a completely cold reading, it almost seemed to me like maybe we were all poisoned at the end. I wasn't sure until, we got to the very end. I wasn't sure if we were all going to die, and he was getting his revenge that way. But it was definitely an unexpected ending.
Yeah.
And it was almost a deserved ending.
As
like-
someone who was picked on in high school, and I kind of was the daring guy, I kind of live a little bit vicariously through his revenge here. So
I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more about what they did to him and how he responded to that in school. You know, was he just kind of shut down and look at the girls creepily from the back, or, you know, because really all I know at this point about Carla and Sam and Jerry is that, man, we were snobs apparently. You know, I'd like to see more of, you know, maybe even in a little flashback, but more about what it really was like on both sides in high school.
yeah, I would agree with Jen there that I think giving a little bit more context of the things that he went through instead of and we see more of the effects of what he went through, but not so much events. I don't necessarily know that we need everything, but maybe one or two little things that can give us some of the stuff that's going on. I mean, it can be all subtextual, but I think it would be more interesting if we had at least a few things that painted these people in a more awful light than just his reaction, because it just seems like he's coming out of nowhere with that. And it would be nice to kind of, oh yeah, I remember. Oh, you didn't take that seriously, did you? You know, I mean, because that's what a lot of bullies do, is play that stuff off. And I think that would be interesting to me to have a little bit more information.
Yeah, we do need a little bit more of example, because the only actions involving him and any of the others in the background is him watching the girl through the open door, which kind of makes him pretty creepy.
Yeah. I enjoy the fact that no one is purely good. You know, that Darren has been through some messed up things, but, you know, he's also, it's implied that he's victimized more than one girl this way. So, you know, he's not, nobody's an angel. And I like that. I like that grayness.
Yeah, usually it's obvious who to root for. You're going to root for the underdog. You're going to root for the Darren. But in this case, I wasn't rooting for anybody because I didn't like their snobbiness. But boy, Darren creeped me out. So I didn't know what to think.
Yeah, there's definitely a creepy stalker quality to Darren's character. I mean, you know, people sometimes we're the sum of our experiences, right? So, you know, I think again, having something influence that. But I think we kind of did a little bit because he developed more of a bond, or thought he had, because of certain things in the past. And so that's kind of where that stalkery behavior came from. But he definitely did come off as the most creepy, I think, of all the characters. Well, at the end, he's not just creepy, he's creepy as a ghost.
I was intrigued how the three friends kept saying, look, Darren, this was way back in high school. I mean, way back in high school, way back in high school. Come on, get over it, way back there. But, you know, high school memories really do linger. And I was happy to hear that. I was happy to be reminded of that message at the end, that high school memories really can linger. And
They
none of us
do.
were very
I mean,
good back then.
in these days with social networking, I occasionally get like friend requests from people from high school that were horrid to me. Nothing even precursing that, like a note saying like, hi Mark, I'm really sorry for all this stuff in high school. They just want to friend me. And it's like, what the hell? Why would you think I would ever want you anywhere near me? You know, I mean, without an apology first or something like that. Fuck off, you know? I mean, it's like, that's just crazy. So I just ignore those. But you know, it is kind of weird how different people kind of do hand wave that and say, oh, everybody did those types of things. We were just kids. Everybody did that. But there's no apology either for that type of stuff. It's just sort of to be accepted that you just will deal with that. And I do find it interesting, like you're saying, Kathy, that I don't think any of these people in the future are apologetic for what they put him through. They're just kind of saying, oh, that was just high school. You should just get over it. You know, they're not, none, I don't think any one of them said, I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the abusers never think they're in the wrong. That's part of being in the high school clique. And I think some of my dad would say that people don't grow up. And obviously the kids, they immediately started on Darren right when he showed up.
I still held a grudge against this kid that sat in front of me in typing class and kept messing up my margins. He'd turn around and mess up the margins. For the longest time, I hated that guy.
Yeah.
And then someone told me he's dead. Just forget about it. It was in the past. It's like some things hurt. It hurts you.
Watch out for that ghost, Shirley.
Yep.
All right, we should turn this over to Lewis. I guess I'll ask one question before I turn it over to Lewis. There's been some really good comments. Our last question that we usually ask is this ready? Is it marketable? Is it ready for the stage? Obviously, we gave some good tips to Lewis on things that maybe could be improved, but I heard a lot of positive responses as well. What do we think? Is there anything specific or is, with a little tweaking, is this ready for the stage?
I wanted to jump in with a couple little things just
Sure.
that I noticed in my lines there. One is just like I think on one of the last lines, it says, I say like something to Darren and somebody else. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be saying my own name there. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be saying like Sam and Carla or something like that, I might go back and look at that. And then, I mean, I was just reading this cold, but the scene where he was saying that he was in the he was watching her and he was and she was leaving the door open. That wasn't real clear as I was just kind of reading it through real quick. Like, was he essentially accusing her of like teasing him, and she was intentionally doing that? I just think that could be made a little bit clearer.
Mm-hmm.
Could I add a lot of the action of this play, maybe 90%, is talked about rather than actually happens until we get to the final action of Darren's threat. So that's not intrinsically wrong, but it might be a little harder to keep attention that way. These are things that have already happened, and we're not watching anything new happen until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Richard, that there's not a huge amount of direction as far as movement goes. But I think I felt movement in this, and I could see how you could still stage it with that. So that was less of an issue for me personally, because I think a director can work with that, and good actors are going to find the transitions and find good places to move within the copy. And there are some exits and entrances of a couple characters like Carla as she leaves and comes back to the group. But I do think that a little bit more for me, as we said before, a little bit more of a couple specifics from the past, other than the creepy, spying on Carla while she was in her dressing room type of thing. It would be nice to, which I think developed an infatuation. I think he thought that she was kind of wanted him there. And that was his interpretation of that. And she probably had absolutely no idea that was happening the way that it seems to me. But I think something that drives a little bit more of past events that they could say, oh, come on. And, I think it would make the people in the future a little bit more ugly, because right now the only ugly person to me with some of their actions is Darren. I mean, the rest are just kind of creeped out and then maybe they're mean, but we don't see kind of the cruelty that might have pre-existed that drove him to want to haunt them.
I also thought, I totally agree with that there needs to be something there for why he's haunting them. But what was the spark for him to kill himself? Because we all said we've had people in the past we would like to hate or whatever, but none of them affected us that far that we would go that extreme. So somewheres there needs to be a past, but there needs to be something that says, oh, that's why he did what he did.
Although probably none of us grew up as the child of someone who was a servant in the other people's house and that made you feel inferior.
Right, but there should be something there that said, that really made a traumatic effect on his life beyond that, to do something that extreme.
All right,
I think that's a really good point I forgot about, Kathy, is that he was the child of a servant to these people. So it's like there's a classist thing going on in this that's that I think could be played up more too. And he felt I think giving him more of some of that type of stuff and feeling like he can't free himself from his past for whatever reason, and maybe that's what drove him. You know, again, maybe, you know, it's only a short play, so you can't answer everything always in those, but maybe giving a little bit more context to it, I think could be helpful.
And there's a real opportunity there to, if one of the three others needs to be a clearer cut villain, there's a really good opportunity to make Carla that villain. If she really was contributing to making him feel inferior and treating him as inferior.
We need to turn this over to Lewis. Lewis, what would you like to say about the play?
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody's comments. At the beginning, I did mean for that episode where he was spying on Carla while she was changing. I meant that to be that she liked to tease him, you know, to undress in front of him, knowing he was looking in on her, but not that she actually was interested in him, but just that it was her way of teasing him. And I did try to make it sound like he had been persecuted by them. You know, they laughed at him because he was a servant's son, and because he brought his lunch to school, and because he didn't dress well, didn't have good clothes, and his grades weren't good because he had to work after school. So they would tease him about those sorts of things. And for instance, that Rusty wouldn't sit at the same table with him, would get up and leave. He developed such low self-esteem. He just ended up going to community college and having to drop out, and he couldn't keep a job. He lost his job. That's why he got so depressed and down on himself that he committed suicide. I mean, maybe I should emphasize those things more, and as you say, maybe put in a few more incidents where they persecuted him. But I appreciate the comments about all of that.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How would you help a director block that optical illusion of three people trying to touch a body and having, you know, not touching anything? Can you picture it in your head?
Are you asking me?
I don't know, yeah. Anybody is with advice. I can see a director wondering, how can I block this so that it looks like three people are reaching out to touch a body and not making contact with the body?
Yeah.
You can sort of do it with forced perspective a little bit, where someone is in front of the others and they're reaching out, and they're reaching out kind of through him, or, you know, he's a little bit behind them. So there's a way. There's some tricks in stage raking that you can do that, and some other types of things with scrims and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't know all that stagecraft, but I do know that there are ways to be able to fake that and be able to make that happen. You only need that in the very end of it anyway.
Right.
So,
and
there are some changes. Yeah. And there is some movement around that. So you could definitely make him seem much more substantial until that very moment where you need to use that particular instance, and then take advantage of something that people didn't really even notice. You know, maybe steps behind a small piece of scrim that's slightly in the background and you couldn't really see before, and then looks a little bit more diaphanous because of that, because he's backlit now or something like that, as the people are reaching forward. I think, you know, when you talk to the tech people, they can make some wizardry even just with lighting. So I think it's possible to do something with that, even in a very simple and meager production that doesn't have necessarily a big budget. I think there's ways to make that happen.
I think maybe if the actors just kind of went like this with their hands, as if they couldn't, feel him. That gives the idea anyway.
Well,
Just
the
pressing
blocking,
lightly
the
against
blocking
him.
Darren would be slightly upstage and the others would be a little downstage of him. Like Mark said, if you had blocked it right, they could reach towards each other, which would look like they're going through him almost, but in front of him, but they're not touching him, but like Mark said. And like he said, also, a small blue spot on the guy or something at the end.
Yeah,
A colored one to make him look different.
thanks.
Yeah.